जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रजजन रंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रोत्र डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम भगवते वासुदेव ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, so today we'll be reading the verses from chapter 12, text 6. I'm having a different version, so the page could be different.
Page 514.
514. So I'm assuming here all of you are aware of Bhagavad Gita, right? So is anyone here who is like new to Bhagavad Gita, who have not known anything about it, or? Yeah, so then I'll briefly talk about it. So Bhagavad Gita is a conversation which was happening, which happened around 5,000 years ago between Lord Krishna, who is considered to be the supreme absolute truth, and his friend Arjuna. So this conversation happened on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna was confused whether what to do, whether he should fight his relatives or he should not fight. So then Krishna very beautifully describes the essence of all the scriptures, and in doing so he enlightens Arjuna, and also through this conversation he enlightens all of us to help us understand, to take appropriate decisions in our life and be eventually happy. So we are currently in this chapter 12, text number 6. Yetu sarvani karmani. Are all of you are able to open that page? Yeah, okay. Yetu sarvani karmani Mayi sanyasamat paraha Ananyenaiva yogena Mam jayayanta upasate Tesham aham samudharta Mrityu samsara sagarat Bhavamina chirat partha Mayi aveshita chetasam. Right. We'll read the translation. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pṛthā, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from the material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, this Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. it does not matter in what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. This is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay he will deliver a pure devotee thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and the others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as devotees is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. Dhayami paramam sthanam achir adi ghatim vina garudaskandam aropya yatecham anivaritaha. The purpose of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes a deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to the other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird carrier Garuda, and at once delivers a devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. Yavai sadhana sampattihi purushartha hetushyate tayavina tad apnoti naro narayanashrayah. The purpose of this verse is that one should not engage in different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of the devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, a devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other processes of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarvadharman parityatya mamekam charanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yisyami ma suchaha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute the devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in the spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So, the title of this chapter is Devotional Service. So here in this chapter, Lord Krishna is asking Arjuna and all of us to exclusively take this process of devotional service. And he guarantees that if we try our best and engage in the processes of devotional service, then he will deliver us from this ocean of birth and death. Right, we as humans, right, we have this intelligence to understand that one of the main purposes of this human form of life is to get out of this cycle of birth and death. Although all of us may not agree to this, or all of us may not have realized this, the Shastras emphatically explain this. That is because we think that we have so many problems in life, and if I solve this particular problem, then I'll be happy and I will be called successful. But then whatever actions you perform in this life, they also have consequences, right? And if they are not in line with the Shastra, again you have to take another birth, and then you need to basically consume, or you need to face consequences of the karma which was performed in the previous life. So again in the next life, again you will do some more actions and you will incur some more karma. So this cycle goes on and on and on and on, right? So in the pursuit of happiness in each of these lives, at the end of the life, that person realizes that although I tried very hard, I was not happy. So Krishna here, and also the Shastra, and also all the sages, they emphatically make this statement that if we are able to overcome this cycle of repeated birth and death, then we are successful. And specifically in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that first we have to overcome this cycle of birth and death, and then also achieve this eternal love for Krishna which is there in our heart, so that we can be eternally happy. So in this particular verse, Krishna is giving his promise that without deviation, if one engages in devotional activities, then his life will be perfect. Right? And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains that how to do this devotional activities. It means that we need to understand what is our duty, and we need to perform our duties, like, because each one of us has different roles, and according to that roles we have different duties in life, right? So we perform all of those duties diligently, and at the same time chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in due course of time, one can actually observe that he develops a taste for serving the Lord. So if one in the due course of time achieves this taste for serving the Lord, then his life becomes perfect. So here I want to narrate the example of the sage Valmiki. Valmiki was, as you all know, is the author of Ramayana. So Valmiki was actually a dacoit. He was involved in robbing the passengers or the travelers who were traveling across in a particular forested area. Then one day he finds that even the sage Narada was also traveling through that particular forest. So then he tries to even rob him. But the sage Narada, being very intelligent and very wise, he was not afraid. And then he asks this Valmiki, at that time his name was Ratnakar. So he asks Ratnakar, hey, you are, illegally performing all of these activities by stealing from others. Is this right? He asks him. So Ratnakar, he, without hesitatingly, he replies to him saying that, I'm just doing my duty. I have a family to take care. So in order to feed them and in order to take care of them, I'm stealing from the travelers in this area. So then Narada says that you might be thinking that you are doing your duty, but all of this stealing is a very sinful activity and it will incur a lot of bad karma. So if you think that you are actually doing good, but the fact is that you're harming yourself by incurring this bad karma. And he also asks him that you are thinking that you are doing your duty, but unfortunately you are incurring all this bad karma only for your purpose of taking care of your family. But can you ask your family members if they are willing to also share this karma which you have incurred? So Ratnakar heads back to his home and he asks his children and his family, saying that, hey, I am doing this activity only to take care of you. So I expect you also to share this burden of karma, right? So his family members state that, no, we are not at all responsible for your activities. Because we are your family members, it is your duty to take care of us. And we never asked you to steal for us. So all his family members say that we are not responsible for your actions. And so he gets stunned. So he comes back to the sage Narada. And then he understands that this Narada has, is actually trying to help him. So he approaches him with humbly and asks him, so then how do I overcome all of this bad karma, right? Then Narada, being the expert sage, he knows that if he can attract anyone to the Lord, right, then automatically his life becomes purified and also successful. So then he asks, so he chants the name of Rama in his ear. But because this particular person, Ratnakar, was too much sinful, right? He could not utter the name Rama, because Rama is the name of the Lord. So then Narada asks him to chant Mara. So Mara means death. So it's not a name of Lord Ram. So he was able to chant it. But then Narada asks him to chant Mara because Narada is an expert. You see, the sages are experts, they are so merciful that at whatever stage we are in, if we approach them with a mood of humility and seva, they help us to progress. So he asked him to chant the name of Mara, and then he chants Mara, 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 and then it actually turns out it's the name of Lord Ram, right? So simply by chanting this name of Rama over a period of time, this Hatnakara, he takes this this chanting very, very seriously. In fact, it is stated that he sits down in a particular place and chants this so intensely that after some time there are some ants crawling over him. He is like completely oblivious to all of it. And then there are also ant hills which are formed around him because he chants like that for thousands of years. And then he is called as the sage Valmiki, because the term Valmiki in Sanskrit is actually an ant hill. So Valmiki then becomes a great sage, and eventually he gets the opportunity to write the entire Ramayana, and from that time on he is glorified as the author of Ramayana. So by simply following the instruction of the sage Narada, he purifies himself, and as in purport Srila Prabhupada explains that the process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and at the same time in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Such transcendental chanting attracts a devotee to the personality of Godhead. So we can see by this example, and I'm sure there are many other examples, to show that simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is one of the devotional processes, we eventually develop a taste to serve the Lord and become happy. And at the end of the life, we can overcome this ocean of birth and death. Moving ahead, Prabhupada also explains that this process of devotional service is to simply abide by this process which is laid down by Krishna, which is the process of devotional service, and then to fully depend on the Lord. And he assures us that he will take care of that particular person. We see another example where here we see the story in the story of Dhruva Maharaj, right? Dhruva Maharaj, he was initially he gets upset that his father was not properly taking care of him, so he runs away from his home, and he also meets the sage Narada. So Narada again guides him to a particular process of devotional service, where even over there he asks him to chant the name of Lord Narayana. So by eventually chanting the name of Lord Narayana, he comes face to face with the Lord. So what does it mean to come face to face with the Lord? It means that he has developed love for God, right? Only when we have love for God, only then the Lord becomes available to us. Right? So this particular purport is therefore encouraging us to exclusively practice the process of devotional service and not to be distracted or not to be engaged in other activities which may offer us to provide other benefits. So what is this process of devotional service? It is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Padasevanam. Did I miss anything? Yeah. So it is hearing, chanting, and then doing deity worship, and then serving the Lord as a servant, and then offering all of our abilities in serving the Lord, right? So we can engage all our abilities in trying to serve the Lord by the guidance of sages like Narada, right? And in doing so, we can achieve perfection. So we'll also move on to the next verse, text 8. Mayi eva mana adhav swa mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasisyasi mayi eva ata udvam na samsayah. Just fix our mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Purport. One who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. When he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables and the devotee becomes Krishnized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad Gita and in other Vedic literatures. So, continuing on the same theme as in the previous verse, Krishna is urging us to fix our mind in his service and engage all your intelligence in his service, right? So we have a mind and an intelligence. So all the time the mind, it throws up with various thoughts saying that do this and you'll be happy, do this you'll be happy, do that you'll be happy. But then instead of the mind dictating to us, right, we need to sharpen our intelligence, right? How do we sharpen our intelligence? By reading or taking guidance from people who have perfected their lives, right? And also the Shastra. So by sharpening our intelligence, we can develop this decision making ability or discrimination capability, so that we can identify those thoughts which are coming in our mind, which are favorable and which are unfavorable, right? So then with this sharpened intelligence, we can control the mind instead of the mind being controlling us, right? So we can control the mind with this intelligence and deftly engage it in the service of the Lord. So in the process, right, we can develop this relationship with the Lord and His devotees. Right? One may ask, how do we, actually know that if we are developing a relationship with God, right? So there have been many instances where great devotees, they serve the Lord so much that with so much love that the Lord, He reciprocates with them personally. So we can see that one can actually, over a period of time, by practicing this devotional process and by using our abilities and our mind in the service of Krishna, we can purify ourselves and also develop a relationship with Him. All right. Are there any comments or suggestions or any questions? I see.
This was one of the best slokas from this chapter.
I see.
So the 8th one or 6th one?
The 8th one.
8th one. Why you think it is the best one?
Because this Krishna tells you that what to do. This is the same sloka that appears at the end of, very similar sloka appears at the end of 18th chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Where he tells you to engage your mind always in Him. And He takes care of everything.
Right.
In 9th chapter also He says that if you engage your mind, Ananya Chintayanto Mam, Jana Paripasati, Tesam Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Vahamya. If you keep your mind in me always, then I will take care of you completely and I will preserve what you have. So it's 100% insurance without any payment, without any worries about, and it's not only for this life, for all the lives to come that we have. All that simply we have to do is take His name, eat Pṛthā, and remember Him.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to any school, you don't have to do anything. If you are really devoted to Him, that's all the path of life.
Yeah.
I think this sloka also essentially says the same thing, the 8th one. And the 6th and 7th, He promises you that He will take care of you. You dedicate all your activities to Him. So this is the quintessence of all Bhagavad Gita, these 3 slokas. That's my way.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Anjaneya. Thank you, Anjaneya, summarizing everything and also putting everything in context with the chapter 9 and chapter 18.
Chapter 18, this is the theme that comes in many different places, but these are the 3 places. But even in 6th chapter he says that, in 8th chapter he says that, 15th chapter he says that, in many different ways to appeal to different class of devotees. So just remember me always, take my name always, surrender to me always, and I'll take care of you. In all respects, not in one, every respect. In that chapter he says, even I'll give you all intelligence that is required in this world. You don't have to strive for it. Every intelligence will come to you from nowhere. Like the story of Valmiki that you said. Valmiki got all his intelligence from taking the name. And Valmiki is probably anybody who will desire to be, any professional person, what we think about achieving in the world. Valmiki has an eternal name.
Yeah.
I think that you covered the best slokas for us.
Thank you, Anjaneya, and thank you.
Thank you.
Guruji, I have never seen you before. Your name, please?
My name is Rasika Sindhu Das.
Rasika Sindhu Das. You are new in San Diego?
Yeah, relatively new. I came here in 2020.
I see. But you came to the temple, I see.
No, I was coming from 2020 here.
Oh, you can go 2020.
I'm not here in the evening on Saturdays.
Come
Yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
We are Saturday guys.
He's usually here in the mornings.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.